Hi there, it's Jess. I'm Jessica Pelkey. I'm a PAC mentor, and I'm going to be your guide for this webinar. I want to go home. Throughout the course of the webinar, TIPA explores the gems in a variety of ways. This helps us to understand what this common scenario can look like, sound like, and be like over the course of the condition. So I've divided this webinar into 5 chapters. I'm going to pull up a slide for the visual. So 5 chapters. The first one, what does it signify, this want to go home? And who's distressed? In this first chapter, Tipa is going to do some snapshots. We're going to see some role plays of each of the different gems, what it can look like and sound like for this very common, I want to go home. She's going to dive into what does it mean, this wanting to go home? What does it signify? And what's our role in this sometimes? For chapter 2, what are the gem states? Tipa is going to dive in and tell us more about each of the gems. In chapter 3, how does brain change factor in? Tipa is going to take us through some of the key points of brain change so we understand what else factors in here. What else is going on that we need to be aware of in order to respond and be supportive with our care. In chapter 4, what's driving this and what's supportive? Tipa goes through gem by gem to give us a deeper understanding of this meaning of I gotta go or I want to go home. And again, in the variety of ways that can look and sound and what the person may be doing. In this chapter, she gives us a deeper understanding of what's underlying. And therefore, when we sort of get a sense of that, what we can do to be supportive. In chapter 5, we've got some scenario role plays. And Tipa does some skilled responses and some common, more automatic reactions. So let's get started.
So all things being resolved, hopefully, as far as not being able to do what you want to do on your end. Here's the problem that we're talking about today. Listen, I want to go home. And I'm going to give it to you as a sapphire first. Hey, Corey, I want to go home. As much as I'd love to be at this program, I have some responsibilities and I'd really like to get going. How much longer is it going to be?
Well, Tipa, you are home.
No, I'm at Manda's house right now. I'm not home. Oh, says Corey. So that was a sapphire performance. Now I'm going to give you more of a diet. Listen, Corey, I want to go home. I'm tired of this crap. I've reached my limit and I'm done. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Oh, I hear you. That is not the answer to this.
Well, it just seems like you're a little upset.
I'm not a little upset. You're not listening to me. Tipa. Did you hear me say I want to go home? Did you?
Just calm down.
Don't tell me to calm. Ooh. Okay, that was a diamond rendition with a non-helpful helper. Just saying, not commenting on Corey. I'm just saying that was a non-helpful helping behavior. Hey, lady. Hello? Are you there?
Yes.
Well, I want to go home.
You want to go home?
Yes.
Tell me about
to go home. Well, I'm not going to tell you about home. I want to get out of here.
You need to get out of here.
Yes.
This is not working.
No. Okay, good. Now that was a more skillful helper, but I was in a mode of more of an emerald state. Okay. So now we'll move on. Hey, please, I want to go home. I want to go home. I want to go home.
Home. You want to go home.
I want to go home. Home, please. I got to get home. I got to go home. I got to go home.
Go home. You got to go home.
Yeah. Go home. Go home. You go home. You go home.
You go home.
You go home. Okay, I'll pause there because that's as much as I can give you right in the moment. And I'm in an amber state. And now, go home, 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 mama, 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 come home, come home, come home, come home, come home, come home. And now we'll finish with our pearl before we get into the meat of the matter, because I'm just wanting to give you a little sort of audio version. Please, can I go home? Can I go home, please? Please.
I want to go home.
I gotta go home. And Mama's calling me. Mama's calling me home. Mama calling me home. I gotta go home. I need to go home, please, please. Okay, so I'll pause. And I want to check in with people. Was there clearly a difference in my message sending from sapphire to diamond to emerald to amber to ruby and to pearl? Did you guys feel that there was a really significant different message I was sending each time?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. And was it clear, however, that in each message sending, I was sending a message. It wasn't just words that were coming out of my mouth. I was trying to express something. And I was really struggling in some cases to get that message out. But I was truly trying to give some information, something to another person. I wasn't just arbitrarily sending it into space. I was trying to send something so I get something. Was that evident to everybody on the call? Okay, so what we're going to do is if you get it and you're visual, you can give me a thumbs up. If you're not sure that you get something, or if you're not getting it at all, you give me a thumbs down. And that way I sort of have a sense from looking at you without having to ask specific questions. So we're using a visual cue because there's so many of you, and some of you aren't even there at all, and you can use the chat if you want. Amanda will try to monitor that a bit as she's doing other things. Catherine can keep an eye on it too because she's skillful. Because those are just two people I know I have here. Now I'm going to go back to the slideshow, and hopefully I'll bring you this time. Let me see if I can get you to come along. Now have you got a great big white screen with some words on it? Cool. So the first question, I want to make sure we're all talking about the same thing. When someone says home, home, I want to go home, I need to get home. Hey, listen, I'd really like to go home. What are we talking about? What does the word home connotate or mean to people? And in the world of dementia, for me, it designates a place where I feel comfort. It is a comfort place. So it has 4 F's to it, which is in this thing I consider home, the space, the place, the situation I would call home. It's got to have an element of feeling friendly, of being familiar, of being functional. In other words, and this one is one that people sometimes go, huh? But being functional means it has things that when I look at those things, those objects, those things that are visible to me in that space, I have a sense of what to do with those things. And there are things for me to do things with in those spaces. And those spaces and those things that I have are things that mean something to my brain, so that humans find a need to do things with things. So I look at things and then I figure out how to do things with the things I see. And so for me, this thing I found served a function. And because it was here and it feels friendly and it's giving me something to do, I feel more at home. Now, if Manda is sharing this space with me, okay, and she sees me do this with this object, and then she sees me do this, she has a choice to make. And let's say she makes a very rigid, inflexible choice.
Tipa, those are socks. They'd go on your feet, not on your hands.
Yeah.
No, socks. They go on your feet.
Yeah.
Those are your hands, Tipa. Hands, where are your feet? Put them on your feet. You know what? Give them to me.
Here.
Just give them to me. Yeah, that's right. They go on. You already have socks on. You don't even need those. Give me those socks.
These are the socks.
Give me the socks on your hands.
I got it.
No, give me the socks on your hands.
Okay, so just right off the top, so my question for the group, how many of you think I'm feeling like I want to stay in the same space as Manda? So is it the objects and that kind of friendly and familiar and forgiving? Because the object is perfectly fine. I'm having a good time with my objects. You know, I'm not sure I would have done a whole lot different with mittens or gloves. I'm having a good time with these objects. So if we look at the 4 S's, sensations, I was having some good sensations. Social support. Well, that really wasn't happening as social support. I was getting a lot of social conflict. And spaces. Well, the space I was in, I found these things. I was fine with it. The problem is, you know, they may not have been my socks, but I didn't really mind whose socks they were. I didn't mind that I found them in the dirty clothes hamper. I didn't mind that they weren't even my dirty clothes hamper. I was fine with it. And surface to surface, I was actually enjoying this surface on this surface. Okay. So the idea that I'm home or not home, how is, uh-oh, we have somebody making sounds in the background. So in this case, of the 4 F's and the 4 S's, what's making me not feel at home in this moment? What do you think?
Social support.
Social support. Mm-hmm. And the caregiver. Mm-hmm. So is she forgiving of my mistakes?
No.
Is she particularly friendly toward me?
No.
Is this a familiar problem for her? By her tone of voice, do you think
Probably.
that I've done this? So is this meeting her need for me to function the way she wants me to function?
No.
So who's not at home?
Her.
Either one of us. Neither one of us can be at home right here because one of us is dissatisfied with the other and the other one isn't understanding what's causing the problem, because what I was doing, I didn't see any problem with what I was doing. What I didn't realize apparently is that these socks, somebody had them on and they peed when they had them on, and they're urine soaked, but they dried, and they weren't bothering me. So now all of a sudden I see a lot of faces looking a little differently about my socks in my hands, and you guys siding with the caregiver a little bit more, going, yeah, that's not okay. Now the unforgiving is these dirty socks that I found, and I'm not functioning right, because the thing that really was not working for me is I don't smell problematic smells as problematic, and you do in a big way. So these other things about home, a place of safety. So do you think my choice to pull these out of a dirty clothes hamper was an unsafe move or a risky move or an uncomfortable sort of thing for people? Because it didn't bother me. What is it for you guys? when you think about yourselves and trying to help me?
It feels like if it were unsafe, it would be a more secured hamper, ideally, if it was really a biohazard issue.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
think
did
it's
I
more
say,
in
yeah. I mean, I didn't actually say there was anything wrong with the person's urine, just that there was a dried urine on it. And of course, all you guys are like so freaking out. It's like, yeah, I mean, unless I have like a major infection in my urine, I mean, it wouldn't be first choice, but it's at highest rate, it's sort of risky. It's not actually, unless I have like open wounds and we know that there's really dangerous things on these socks, you know, it's a risky thing. Is it a dangerous thing? And if you treat it as a dangerous thing, your brain goes to this isn't home. This isn't even a hospital. This is unsafe practice. And what will happen is you'll have a very difficult time feeling comfortable. And your discomfort will lead to my discomfort. And that just may home. Then you have somebody who's truly adamant about leaving this place and getting to another place. And I don't not only not want to be here, I do not want to be around you. I don't want you touching me. I don't want you interacting. I don't want you looking at me. You're not getting this because this is mine now. This is my one thing that I found comfort in, and you're trying to take it away from me. You're robbing me of my home. It was the only thing I had because it wasn't you and it wasn't me and it was this. And so in that moment, what you're starting to do is, home is also a place of connection. It's a place of control. And if you rob me of connections and you rob me of control, all I can think is I've got to get away. I have got to go home. I cannot stay in this space, in this place with these people. This is so scary. And so I use the example to start the conversation of an amber. And because I think for many people who are in an amber state, we have a really hard time of seeing their point of view and what it is they're perceiving of the world being home for them. And when we see something that so clearly to us represents a non-home phenomenon, this is a seriously risky thing that I'm engaging with. We have a hard time letting go of that perception to place ourselves in a place where we go, okay, Teepa is so into her hands and sensation. Teepa might be experiencing cold fingers. Teepa might just really like the texture. She might be a really curious person. And what she did is she saw these bright, pretty colors and it drew her eye and she found a hole in it. And that caused her, because she still uses her hands, it caused her to want to put her hand inside. And she likes the compression that it gives her hands and what she can do. And then she found another one and she had to do it. And so for her, this may trigger all kinds of really good little sensory memories. And my hands are actually warmer. And what I'm missing, the thing that is so driving your sense of not home, is the smell. So this idea of really observing me and noticing what I'm doing, that seems to be providing comfort, that seems to giving me a sense of safety, of connection, or of control. I'm seeking home, whatever that means in this moment of time at whatever gem state I am. And then we need to pause for a second, because the next piece is, what about this is making me feel unfriendly? This is unfamiliar. This is dysfunctional. This is not a forgivable thing. I mean, the smell, I can't do this. Those sensations, the social support, space, how did she get in there? Sort of really our brain starts to try to do a fix before we're really aware of what is it she's doing, seeking, or what has she got that is making this feel right to her before I start trying to take it away from her. Because I was in no distress until Manda started treating me like I was incompetent. So my question, and it's not a rhetorical question, it really is a question. How often do you think some of my distress and my need to go home in the more advanced stages and states of awareness of dementia is triggered maybe by what the other half of the equation does? In other words, those around the person living with dementia making judgment calls about what is safe, what is not safe, what is okay, what is not okay, what needs to happen and why it needs to happen. In other words, perhaps we're in our own gem state and we're seeking something that makes us more comfortable, that makes us feel safer, that makes us feel either connected or in control. And what we actually have are two competing points of view about the space, the place, and the situation we find ourselves in. And I would say that happens a whole lot. And sometimes the other side of the coin is I'm trying to share with you that where I'm at is not where I want to be, and you're having a hard time hearing the message because you keep trying to get me to understand this is an okay place. And you're having a hard time letting go of the idea, for me, it isn't.
Jess again. So we finished chapter 1. What does it signify, this want to go home? And hopefully we've realized, well, it's not just their words. What's their message? What's the message that we can discern from their communication? And what does home represent? Commonly, it's a place of comfort, safety, connection, and or control. So are they looking for comfort? Are they looking for that safety? Are they looking for more connection? Or could it be control? This isn't how I normally like to spend my time. It's too loud. It's too busy. Or. Okay? The next thing to consider is who's distressed. It's not all about them. Sometimes we get caught up in that idea, but take out your mirror, because I really have more to do with this than I think oftentimes. And so how I respond or react can escalate things or it can de-escalate things. I can choose to respond, or I could automatically react. And that can be pretty common. But how I respond or react may help or hinder. So, in this next chapter, we'll look more at the gems specifically. Teepa takes us through the gem states for a more solid foundation of understanding the progression of dementia and to better understand the person living with dementia throughout the condition. Here we go.
So if we were to look at the idea of gems, I want to just very briefly, because I know I have some people on the call that aren't familiar with this concept at all, and yet I have other people who are very familiar. A long time ago, I sort of decided that in dementia, global deterioration is not my way of looking at this disease. I can't just look at what people are losing and figure out how to help. What I need to do is figure out what people are still able to do, what they're not able to do, and how they use what they have in order to create the right support and the right environmental cueing that's going to allow them to live the best they can live with what they have in that moment by providing the supportive structure around and the cues that make a difference. So I used Allen cognitive levels, which is cognitive disability theory, which is an OT base, as my core start, because it had 6 levels. But the more I worked in dementia, the more I became aware it's not a leveling thing, it's a state of a moment, because people can vary dramatically with dementia within 5 minutes. I can have somebody who's gone from very much functional, able to have language and to have conversations and to tell me about their story within 5 minutes. With the wrong support and the wrong setup and the wrong reinforcement, I can take somebody to where I can't, I just no, you're not. And I can take somebody, they don't even have words anymore. All they can do is shout, no, 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 and throw their hand out and don't you. And I'm stuttering and I'm flustered and my face is flushed and I'm not. That's not, no, why? No. And I did it without really thinking. And actually, that's the easiest way to get somebody into that state, is to not think, to react, not to respond. So these gems are this idea that humans do the best they can. And so sapphires are true blue. As I age, I will slow down, but I'm still pretty much how I've always been and who I've always been. It does mean I'm not getting quite as much data in the same time frame as I could have when I was younger. And I'm also maybe a little slower on processing, so it takes me a little longer to do what I would have done much quicker when I was 25, but I'm actually maybe more thoughtful and wise at 65. Diamonds are clear and sharp. They are quite capable of doing things as long as it's part of a habit and routine structure that they've always used. Anything new or different though, oh yeah. Okay, so now this is new. I haven't heard about this before. And you're thinking, well, we talked about it yesterday. You can think that. It's when you say that you start to make me uncomfortable. Because you're thinking it's like, well, you're probably right, you did. I didn't hold on to it. It can actually take up to 50 repetitions of something for it to go from new knowledge to stored knowledge for me. And the really curious thing is that it can get into stored knowledge. Even in the diamond state, I can get something new. It just takes a lot more effort and it has to have value, and you have to make it be something that I enjoy, or make it something I hate and I'll learn it really fast. You, Kathy, you're the one that always comes in here and says, I have to go. Well, I'm not going. And it's like, wait, I only did that once. Oh yeah. Once you say that's not true. It's happened again and again and again. Now it actually did only happen once, but what you told me is you came in and you said, Teepa, you need to go get your toes done with the podiatrist. They're here. And unfortunately, the podiatrist was a really mean guy. He wanted to do it the way he wanted to do it. And he trimmed my toe and he hurt my toe. And I have arthritis and he kept cutting. And I said, enough. And he said, no, I have a little more to do. And I said, that's enough. And he used a grinder. And now the next time I see you, you bitch. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. But the interesting thing is I remember you as the trigger for that whole sequence, because you're the one that said we were going to do something different. And so you become the visual cue for me. And every time I see you, here she comes again, the one that'll cut your foot off if you turn the wrong way. She'll cripple you. She tried to cripple me. She works with a whole team of cripplers. They come up and they grab your leg and they twist your toes till they'll just about break them off. You all be careful here, because I'm telling you, she's sneaky about this shit too. Look at her smile like she's a little shit. That's how she is. And the swearing and that built up, that tells you how scared I was with the podiatrist. Now, I may just have come across as angry with, ow, you're hurting my foot, stop it. I'm not going to, don't you ever. And at the time I may have even gone through it and not said anything to him because he's an authority figure, or she is. But now when I find you again, oh, is there a visual memory for me? So diamonds can be absolutely lovely, but the thing about them, once they get something inside, they can have a really hard time letting it go. So if I really like you and I really trust you, you'll be my best friend. If I think you've done something you shouldn't have, ooh, I'll have a hard time seeing you as friendly in that moment, and I'll hold on to it sometimes. So diamonds can look just great, but then all of a sudden things can turn real bad real fast, and they often will shoot messages outward and they won't be able to take messages inward. So they're very good at picking up on everybody else's mistakes, but they may have a wall up of their own, or they may go, I can't do anything right. I'm such an idiot. And so I may disrespect myself, or I may disrespect other people, depending on how I am and who I am. Emeralds are getting lost a lot. They're on the go, but they're not sure where sometimes, and they're not sure when. But they're often pretty busy. They're thinking they need to do something, but they aren't always sure how to do it. And they frequently, if you would do this with your finger, just to do it, do this multiple times, they can't find the start button. So their problem is they want something, they need something, there's something they want to do, but they can't quite figure out how to get it started. That could be an activity, a task, a self-care event. It could be going somewhere or coming back from someplace. So they tend to, if they're able, say, have you seen my husband? I can't seem to find him. Listen, I need to get home. I have got things to do. What do I do now? What am I to do now? Where do I go now? Who's in charge around here? I need to speak to somebody who knows what to do. This is, have you seen the children? I can't find the children. I got to get to work. I got people waiting. I mean, so their need to be involved in something, they can't figure out, how do I get going here? So they're often seeking assistance to get going. Once they get going, they go pretty good, but then they sometimes get stuck. They can't get out of it. Once they get going on it, it's a never-ending loop for them. And they keep going back to it because they don't know how to get to the next piece. The other thing about emeralds is there's a less, go ahead and take your hands and put it right here. There's a less clear connection between what your brain knows and what your body needs at any moment in time. So although what I might be feeling is hunger, my brain could think it's tired. Or what I'm feeling is I need to have a bowel movement. And what I think is I'm having a baby. What I think is happening is that I need to talk to my mother, when what I really would like to do is talk to my sister. So not only am I having difficulty with body to brain, I'm having trouble getting the words that come out to match the ideas and the thoughts in my head. So I'm emerald in that I'm not clear and sharp anymore. I'm cloudy and I'm flawed. But I know what I want, and what I don't know is whether it's reasonable, and whether it's timely, and whether it makes sense, and whether it matches what my need is. But I think I know what I want. The challenge is I don't know how to get what I want done frequently, and I don't know how sometimes to let go of what I'm doing to do the new thing that I need. So ambers are a little different. Ambers are in a moment of the disease where it is all about sensation. When I was doing the role play with Manda, that was a very amber moment, because ambers are all about sensory need and sensory intolerance. And the senses could be visual senses, tactile sense, temperature, texture. It could be auditory senses. It could be olfactory senses. Whatever the sensations that I'm having are, if I get what I'm liking, I want more of what I'm liking. If I don't like something, it needs to stop like yesterday, and I'm not putting up with this. And I have no safety sense when it comes to that. I have no caution. It's an all or nothing kind of thing for me. So if you're not giving me immediately what I like or want, I could actually shove and push you away from me because this isn't what I want. I don't understand why you're doing this. And what I don't have is all the words I'm giving you. You know, no, you get out, go on, you go now, you go now, you go now, you go on. That baby doesn't like that. That baby doesn't like that. And what I'm actually saying is not the baby doesn't like that. I don't like what you're doing, just so you know. And I'm not putting up with it. On the other hand, when we get to a ruby state, you got to hit, and you go on. What I have left are big movements and this ability to use fingers. Now it's just hands. The ability to use my jaw and my teeth and my lips and my tongue. Yeah, no, I get a him. You're gonna go on. You go on home. You go home. You going home? Yeah. Let's go on. Let's go home now. Let's go home. You're gonna come on? Come on. So my articulation is missing. My eating skills are much less skillful. My eyes, I'm monocular. My gait, I'm a total body movement, not the ability to rotate around my trunk, the ability to use my arms and my legs with a coordinated pattern. I do a lot of whole body things, and I'm more on the balls of my feet than the flats of my feet. So I have a high risk for falls, but I'm on the move a lot. But when I'm not on the move, I don't know how to get moving. So I'm either immobile or in movement. And the hard part for me is transitions. So you can often, when I become distressed, see a repetitive, repeated pattern. And it can be lapping, which is walking around. It could be pacing, which is going back and forth. It could be clapping or patting, or it could be rubbing. It could be gritting and grinding. It could be kicking out or stomping or beating on something. Or it could be rocking or hey, over and over and over and over. Or it could be home. And you gotta go home now. Go home. You gotta come on home. Come home. You come on home. Come on. Let's go, baby. Let's go. I could grab, I could pull, I could push. Those are all big movements. So when you're noticing yourself or someone else doing that, and I say yourself because sometimes in a moment, we can get so distressed with somebody's behavior. We are strong and we use big movements and we're not thinking and we're grabbing because we're worried. But when you think about it, our brain isn't working real well. And we're saying, no. Tipa. When your mouth says the same word about 3 or 4 times, consider the possibility you might be in a ruby state in that moment. You are just full out strong and powerful, and you are pushing an envelope. And when you're on the move, you don't know how to quit. And when you're still and you're like, no. You don't know how to get going. So you're standing there throwing your hands out there like this, but you're like, so what are you doing? I don't know. She's gonna fall. And it's like, good for you. You're right. She probably is. But look what you're doing. Isn't that helpful? Tipa. It's like, all right. So you're not feeling at home and neither is she. Got it. One of you is trying to get home. The other one's trying to keep her in a chair. Let me say that again. One of you is just trying to get home and the other one's trying to keep her in a chair. And it's easy for us to sit in judgment of the person who's living with dementia and say, what she's doing doesn't make any sense. And I would turn to you and go, so tell me what you're doing that makes a lot of sense. And it's like, well, in that moment, neither of us are making a lot of sense because I'm worried. And it's like, got it. So one of us has a brain that actually could come back online and one can't. Which one do you think you are? Yeah, take that deep breath because it's you. And so if one of us is going to have to do something different, it isn't the person trying to get up out of the chair. It would be the person who's trying to keep them in the chair. And maybe we should get a little curious about what they're looking for, because I would tell you there's something about being in that chair that isn't comfortable. Oh, wait, what were the things we were looking for? Let's go back. It isn't a place of comfort. It doesn't feel like it's a place of safety. It's not a place where they feel connected, and they're not feeling in control. So me standing here and going, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, probably isn't going to get us going anywhere good. But they're probably going to want to go home even more than they did before. That's my guess. But, you know, I suspect it won't be very positive. So the last state that, again, and that one might have surprised you a little bit, the pearl. This is when in the disease, I have very little external world time. Because it's taking just about everything I have to keep systems going to some level, because I can't stay in the shell much longer. And my body has become a shell, and my brain is doing the very best it can to take in some data sometimes, but it's really hard work for me to take in data these days. When I'm in a pearl state, my brain is really working hard to try to keep some systems doing what they need to be doing for me to stay alive. But at that point, my brain has already pretty much decided I can't survive much longer. So it's much less interested in trying to sustain me as a human being. And it's trying to sort of get to a place where I can find comfort inside this space that I'm in, and trying to get to a place where ultimately I'm not in this shell anymore. And I think we tend to perceive them as going away from us. And what I would say is they are definitely hidden in the shell. But I think sometimes they're still so present with us that they're having a hard time figuring out how to help us let go of them so that they can do the final and ultimate going home, because this was temporary housing. It was always meant as temporary housing. And those of us who care for temporary housing units really feel compelled to try to maintain that person in that temporary housing unit. And sometimes I think we have a very difficult time realizing this was never really their home. This was the place they used while they needed it, but it was a rental property. And they're actually looking forward to heading home to the real space and place that's theirs. And it's not here anymore. But they may need permission to leave, because people don't leave people they care about just walking away. I mean, you've got to pay the landlord before you take off. And sometimes, quite honestly, I think for people in the pearl state, eating is paying the rent. Drinking is paying the rent. It's doing what you try to get me to do because you're asking, not because I actually want it or because I actually need it, but it's paying the rent. And for those of us on the outside, it feels like, but I'm doing that for you. And at some point it's like, really? Or are you having a hard time really letting me go? And you're not sure about how to take care of my support.
So Teepa's taken us through the gems: sapphire, true blue, normal aging; diamonds, formed under pressure, clear and sharp; emeralds, naturally flawed. This is making clear mistakes now; amber, totally sensation driven; ruby, deep and strong, but really losing skill; and the final stage, pearl, state, I should say. Stage is different. States are more fluid. That last state is pearl. In the oyster shell, the body as it starts to shut down, but still moments to behold that beautiful gem. In the next chapter, Teepa's going to take us through other brain changes that really play a significant role in this thing called dementia that we want to be aware of as we're working through how to support someone that's really saying they want to go home.
So what I've done in this PowerPoint, which you will have later for yourself, is for each of the ways that humans take data in their brain. So for vision, what I've done is highlight each of the gem states. What are you able to take in and what are you not? So for sapphire at 25, we're here. By 75, we're here. And then this is a diamond's world, an emerald's world. Now this stays the world of an amber, which is binoculars, binocular vision. The challenge is I don't always know object for use, and I tend to see more parts than wholes. So when I find this thing, if it was by itself, I wouldn't look for a second one, because to look for a second one, I would have to know that they come in pairs. And when I explore it, I put it on the thing I'm using, not on the thing it belongs on, because I don't know that there's a thing it belongs on. It's just something to explore. And I'm picking at it because it has little things on it. If it were inside out, ooh, look, how cool is that? I could tear this whole thing apart. And that would probably tick you off even more, because then I'd leave little bits and pieces all over. But these things actually would pull really, really well. And I could probably use my teeth to help too. And I'm pretty sure many of you would become really distressed then. But it's just it's a thing I found. Now, at the next point, the wiring between the two eyes and integrating that into a single unified image is starting to not be possible. So I have more than likely what we call monocular vision, which is I only use one image because that's all I can handle. And it takes both sides of my brain working together at their very best to help me understand what it is I'm seeing. And even then, I see something and it's out of context most frequently. And then finally, often for pearls, I spend a lot of time resting my eyes, because when I have my eyes closed, my visual cortex is still busy. Have y'all ever noticed when you close your eyes, sometimes you vision things and you see things and you imagine things and you can be really busy inside? Rapid eye movement sleep is that time when you're doing all this crap inside and your eyes aren't even open. But you're sure busy on your visual cortex. I mean, you light up like a Christmas tree back there. So when people are inside themselves, our perception is they're not with us, and that could be, but it doesn't mean they aren't somewhere. Maybe somewhere different, and maybe with people that are different. Maybe they're remembering things, or maybe they're envisioning things, or maybe they're visioning things. Just because they're not looking doesn't mean they aren't seeing anything. But when they do open their eyes, it may take a bit for their eyes to adjust and recognize what they see. But frequently, people in a pearl state can recognize familiar from unfamiliar. And one of the things that is familiar is when someone looks like, hey, yeah, Stepa, good morning. Hey, there's this, I'm going to get about the camera, okay? I'm going to take your job. I'm going to move your arm, okay? It's okay. Now, you couldn't understand anything I said because I talked too fast, and I was more interested in getting something done than actually connecting with you, because I have a lot to get done, and it didn't look to me like you were really able to process much anyway, so I just thought I'd give it to you real quick and move on to what it is I needed to have done. But the visual I gave you wasn't friendly and familiar. So it could have been really scary, and it makes you not want to be with me. So through all of these, we have receptive language changes. We have expressive language changes. I have hand skills, dexterity, and that's mostly with your skill fingers. Body skills, how do you use your body? People awareness. What do I notice about others around me? What about place awareness? And what about time awareness? And finally, what about situation awareness? So all these PowerPoint slides will come to you with part of the webinar. They'll be as a PowerPoint, just so you have this information. So when you think about, okay, why is somebody wanting to go home? Well, what gem state are they in? It may be helpful to refer back to this information as you're moving forward with challenging situations of your own of people wanting to go home. So wanting to go home triggers the primitive brain. So I'm going to show you the primitive brain is this reptilian limbic phenomena. this sort of deep part of your brain that's saying, yeah, give me what I need. Take me to the safe place. Get out of here. Get me here. Leave me be. Do this. And it's part of what allows you to do things without thinking about them. This is the thinking about stuff. This is the incoming data from the world around you. This is the thinking about the incoming data. And so as the disease called dementia attacks the brain, some dementias actually attack this area. Lewy body is an example of a dementia that attacks in this area, whereas other dementias mostly attack in the front of this area, mostly in that isolate area called the hippocampal area. So it's part of the limbic. It links into the neo and it goes to the reptilian, but it's mostly that hippocampal area. Whereas with Lewy body, it actually hits this entire section. So that's relatively different. So I've divided it out for survival, amygdala, thriving and running the engines. That connection between your brain and your body that keeps your vital systems going, keeps your circadian rhythm pattern moving, allows you to control infections, allow you to do these things that are really important, like breathing and sucking in fluid and sucking in air, swallowing, digesting, voiding, defecating, all those things that human beings have to do to live, versus the learning and remembering. And that is part of the system, but that's that newest part and least integrated part. So when a human being feels threatened in some fashion, they react to a threat. When they do not get their needs met, they become seekers. So they hide or they seek. And that thing of going home indicates my needs are not being met. My emotions, I'm becoming distressed. My needs are not being met. My emotions are becoming distressed. So when we are present and someone is saying, I want to go home, I need to go home, I've got to get out of here, I can't stay here anymore, my children need me. We need to look at this chart right here and go, okay, something isn't right here. And what's nice is the 5 and 5. So take one hand, doesn't matter which one to me, whichever one you like best, use that one. When you like it, put it on your heart and say, oh, these are the things I need. These are the things I must have to feel safe and comforted and in control and connected. This is important. Do this. Turns out human beings must have hydration and nourishment. But quite honestly, do this. After we get the basics, it's what I like to drink and what I like to eat. Where am I most likely to find what I like to eat and what I like to drink? Where's a safe bet that I would find it? In the place I call home. That's where I'm going to find the good stuff. Because if I have to go other places, I have to drink whatever they have, or I have to pick. But when I'm home, man, when I'm in my home base, and that's why Cheers, do y'all remember the show Cheers? That was all about coming home. I mean, because they had the beer that everybody, whoever liked that, whoever had that seat at that bar, whoever got whatever they liked, that place for them, it was about nourishment and hydration, but not really. It was about having what people like to eat and drink there. And that's why they kept coming back to that place, because there was something about being there that gave people that sense of comfort. And it was a little bit of what they were taking in during that time. Take your index finger, take it up, bring it down. Human beings are designed to bring nourishment and hydration on board and then burn it off, and then sleep it off, and then burn it off, and then sleep it off. We are made to live in a rhythmic pattern. And so what we do is we take in things, and then we have to deal with it, put it somewhere, digest it. We have to actually figure out how to deal with what we put in. And that's what we call sleep state. We do sleep state. And when we do sleep state, there's a lot of managing internally so that we can, again, once we wake up, come out and do the energy thing. Use the energy, and then come inside and use the energy to clean the house and set ourselves up for another intake pattern. And this is what we do. We do this rhythmic wave. The third thing, go ahead and get that third finger out. When you add it with this one, when you put things in, there's leftovers. This is the leftovers. And so that's putting things out that you didn't use. So urine, feces, but when you move around often, you burn off calories, but what that does is heat your body up, and so you sweat. When you go to eat, sometimes what you'll have is extra saliva in your mouth, and you're always swallowing that. When you use your eyes and something gets near your eyes, you might tear up, or when you have something get in your nose, you'll snot up. I mean, it's just you get earwax and you grow hair and you grow nails off the end. Those are extras. You have them for a bit. They don't really serve a real useful function past the ends of your fingertips. So you use your hands and get rid of the long ones, except for people who go around and grow them. Other than that, and you want them so they look pretty. Doesn't make your hand particularly functional, but I guess it looks cool on the outside. And it's hard to say what we're doing with that, but look, I don't have to work. See that? People take care of me. Isn't that special? For people who do a lot with their fingers, they always are worried about their fingers. For people who use their hands, often their fingers don't show that, take care of that nail thing at the end. They're just trying to get by with what they got. And then we get to humans have these two strengths, which is trying to find comfort in being pain-free. Comfort and pain. Humans seek comfort and avoid pain. Those are strengths. We're always looking for it. I want to be comfortable. I want to be pain-free. So comfort means I'm looking for home. Home is that place where I get my 4Fs and my 4S, and I'm pain-free. Now, if home doesn't get that way, then I want to leave home. This isn't the right place for me anymore. I want to ditch this place and get out and go find my own home. This isn't my home. And over on the other side, take your hand. And when I'm starting to not get what I like and want, the first thing you're going to notice is I'm angry. Then I'm sad. Or not then, I could be sad. This one feels better if it's here. I'm lonely. I don't have a connection, or I can't find the place that I want to be. When I say lonely, it isn't always people. I could be lonely for a place. I could be lonely for animals. I could be lonely for my life back. I could be lonely for me. Because where I'm at, I'm not finding me. I want to go back to a place in a space where I know I am. I've got to be somewhere. I'm somewhere, right? I've got to be somewhere. Then we have scared. I'm scared. This isn't right. I don't belong here. I don't know how I got here. Who put me here? Why am I here? I've got to go home. I've got kids. I can't stay here. I've got things going on. You don't understand. Those children are all there by themselves. I'm going to be in so much trouble. Mom's going to be so mad. And then this last one is I can't find my purpose. And humans seek to have purpose in being, and I can't figure out my purpose. What am I to do? What am I to do now? Where do I go? Well, listen, I'm not going down there. Those people are all idiots. I don't want to be down there. Please. I gotta go. So what I have are these two hands. These are your investigative tools. So when you're trying to figure out what I'm trying to tell you with I gotta go home, those are the things you want to be thinking about in the back of your mind. So I've tried to simplify it down, but if you keep these guys in mind, that will help guide sort of what it is that I'm not getting that I want, because something's happening.
All right. So if you weren't aware, you may want to look deeper into these brain changes. Vision change, tunnel vision, binocular vision, loss of object to use recognition, loss of depth perception, and loss of visual regard. Expressive and receptive language abilities, body skills, people, place, time, and situational awareness. These things change over the condition. Also, that primitive brain, the core, the thrive to survive, the room, room. We got some major changes going on there. And the amygdala, our boss. We've got 5 physical unmet needs to consider: intake, hunger, thirst, energy, elimination. We put stuff in, it's got to come out. There's sensations associated with that. Comfort and preferences, or discomfort. And, ooh, I'm not liking this. And last, pain. 5 physical things to consider. Then, on the other hand, we've got emotional things to consider. Oh, peel back the anger. That often covers up a lot of other emotions. Next one, sadness, loneliness, or loss of control looks a lot better like this. Fear and boredom. These are things that can be underlying and driving behavior. And that's what we're going to dig into in this next chapter. Teepa's going to take us through what's driving this and how can we be supportive.
So what we want to try to do is catch this before it gets to the high state of amygdala distress. You do not want to try to work with someone who's furious or enraged, someone who's devastated or hopeless, someone who feels abandoned or isolated or imprisoned, somebody who's terrified or panicked, somebody who feels purposeless, useless, or frantic. Because I'm going to tell you, trying to help someone in that state, you better be really, really good at noticing things and watching control issues. Because when their amygdala is over there, it is dangerous. Because these are the swimmers who will take somebody down with them if they're in the water. When you get terrified and you can't swim well, even if you were a swimmer and you're going down, you will take whoever's there with you. You have no sense of what's okay and what's not. When you feel in prison, you start fighting for your life. When you're enraged, you will hit with everything you have, even though you might break a bone. It is secondary to getting the message across, because when I'm over here, I literally believe that I'm fighting for my life. I will never get home again if I do not take this into my hands and deal with this. I am furious with you. So when somebody gets over to this state, we are really having to be super careful. So we want to try to catch things when we're noticing people are getting irritated or bothered. They seem dissatisfied or blue. They tell us they're missing someone or something or someplace, or they're talking about not feeling like they have the control they want. Everybody's in my business. They're nervous or they're anxious, they're disengaged or they're antsy. That's the best time to try to notice this need for something and intervene. If we wait a little longer or we don't pick up on it, people are going to move up to this next level of angry or frustrated, sad or unhappy, lonely, disconnected, feeling restricted or confined. You get out of my room. This is my room. You have no right to come into my room. And then 5 minutes later, I have my suitcase. I'm not staying here. This isn't my house. I never asked to be put here. I packed my suitcase and I'm going out. I'm going home. I'm not putting up with this. You people come in here. This is your hotel and I'm not staying. And it's actually my house I've lived in for 25 years. It tells you how out of control I'm feeling and how frustrated. My amygdala is so stressed, it's seeking an exit. And I can get myself in trouble very, very quickly. It doesn't take very much for you to make a mistake then, but it's before we get to that last state and that highest level of distress. Bored and roaming is when you start seeing me going, I'm not going down there. I've already been there. I'm not doing that. Listen, I've got to find my husband. Have you seen my husband? I'm roaming around. That's one of those signals. So how many of you think you might notice some of this? If you're now thinking, it's like, oh yeah. How many of you have seen this with your folks? Yeah. How many of you actually noticed when people transition from low to medium. How many of you, unfortunately, have been around when we've gone to high? Yeah. It's not a safe place for anybody when that happens. But what I would also say is we sometimes forget the flip side, which is when I get so excited, I am so revved, I am so hyped up that I'm not safe. So I can have a really, really good time. And at first I'm excited, and then I'm hyper, and then no, where did he go? Where did he go? He was here. I was just talking to him. You don't understand. My son was here. Where did he go? And your brain is going, Teepa, you went back to the hotel. You just told him goodbye 15 minutes ago. He was going back to the hotel. He's got to pack up. He's got to go back to New York. No, why are you saying that? That's not true. That is not true. I just went in the bathroom and he said he was going to stay here. Teepa, that's not what he said. And without meaning to, you'll still try to be logic with me because I was so excited and I was so hyped up. Your brain is thinking, well, what happened here? Well, what happened is I burned all my fuel. Fuel, whether you burn it for the good or for the bad, I don't have any glucose left. And so what's happening is I'm about to crash. I am about to crash. And it was going so good. And your brain went, and I will tell you what your brain says. You ready for what your brain says? Your brain goes, what the hell? What the hell just happened here? Shit. But this was fun. She was fine 5 minutes ago. Oh my God, she was so excited. Now look at her. What is going on here? Teepa, I need you to calm down. No. Sit down. Whoa. Teepa, ow. You're running into me with a walker. Whoa. Calm down. Teepa, stop. You're pushing the walker into Mary. You can't do that. Watch me. I'll shove that damn Mary out of my way in a heartbeat because she's not moving quick enough. I mean, I'm sorry about her. I mean, I feel bad, but not that bad. She said, please don't leave me. Please don't go. Why are you leaving me? Please. So I just want to point out sometimes what looks like it's going well, if we're not careful, will flip on us very quickly. And that idea, I felt at home. My daughter was visiting. Boy, was it feeling good. I was so comfortable. I was having such a good time. And in a moment, she said, Mom, I'm going to go ahead and go. Thank you. I had a lovely time. And I say, well, tell you what, I'm going to go to the bathroom and then yeah, I hear you. Thank you. I loved it too. And I give her a hug and I go to the bathroom and I come out. Well, where did she go? And you guys will, without thinking, say something like, well, Teepa, she said she had to go, remember? No, she never said that. And it, to you, turns like this. But what happened, and you didn't notice it, is I went to resolve an issue that I was holding on to for a long time because I so didn't want to lose her. I let myself really build up on my urine. And when I went to pee, wow, man, finally relief. But now when I come out, I think, I'm not thinking. I just thought I'd see my daughter again because that last little bit of what she was talking about, I really wasn't processing most of what she was saying because I so needed to pee. And I thought I was just going to go for a second and I'd have my daughter there when I came back out. But now, what happened? Where did she go? And you're thinking you're still talking to the lady that went into the bathroom, but what you didn't realize is, nope, I'm gone. That's not me anymore. This is a person who just lost somebody near and dear to them and has no idea what just happened to them. And you're trying to use logic and reason to help me understand, no, remember and you even use words like, now remember she said she'd be back. Like, nope, no memory. And I had been diamond-like, and in this moment, I am nothing but amber. And I want what I want, and I need the sensation of hugging my daughter. And somebody took her. She's been kidnapped. What happened? Where did she go? No, she would never leave me like this. And it started in a good place and went very quickly to a dangerous place. And I think that's one we sometimes miss. And families particularly miss. And I bring it up because this time of year, it happens a lot. The people who aren't around too much come in, make me feel good, and then they disappear and I feel like shit. And I am pissed and I want to go home. And I want to find my daughter, and she was just here, and she may even still be standing right there, but I'm now talking about my daughter who's 7, if I'm an emerald. So we need to be good detectives, don't sit in judgment. And we do want to be able to say, I'm sorry. And those are the words for I'm sorry, but you also want to be able to show I'm sorry. No. And when I do something like that, you want to be able to go, no, this isn't okay. You need to actually be able to mirror what I'm showing you so that I see that you got what I said. Because if you won't mirror me, I don't know whether you got me. Because the words may or may not work for me in that moment. Words are tricky things. The rhythm of the words, the intensity of the words are more important than the actual words that you use. Except when you say, I know how you feel. That'll get you in big trouble, because I will be committed that there's no way you could know how bad I feel right now. And when you say that, you don't know. And that's if I have words. Otherwise, no. And I might just slug you because you're telling me you know how I feel. Well then, okay, how's it feel? Because now you know how I feel. Somebody just hit me with a hammer and they took away me. And I'm not liking that. So how does it feel? And I don't mean to do it in a mean way, but my brain doesn't like when people tell me they know what's inside my brain, when I don't even know what's there. So I strike out. And anger is one of the most common ways that we show, but the other one is sadness. We will show that we're not happy. So why do people want to go home? They either want to go home to do something or to get something. They want to go home to be somewhere or to be with someone, or quite honestly, being here is not what I like, want, or need right now. So going home just means one of 3 things. I want to do something or get something done. I want to be somewhere or be with someone, or I don't want this. And I don't know exactly what I want, but I know I don't want this. This isn't it. So I think if we could keep in mind, do this with your thumbs. I want to do something, or I want to get something done. So I want something done, or I want to do it. I want to be with somebody, or I want to be somewhere. So point to somewhere. I want to be with somebody, or I want to be somewhere, or do this. I just don't want this. So if we could keep in mind, why do I want to go home? It's one of those reasons. Humans want to go home because that's just where they want to be, or what they want to do, or it's not here. That's all I know. So sapphire, let's start with a sapphire and see if we can figure this out. When I say I want to go home, a sapphire, somebody who's true blue, is saying, I'm expressing a desire and a preference, not a need. I want to go home. So I'm not saying I need to get home right now. I'm saying I want to go home. What that means is it's an indicator of an initial distress, or a sense that I have an unmet need. It's unmet. It's not horrible, but it's getting there. So what it means is I have a desire to do something in a 4F, 4S location or situation. I want to be comfortable, and I would prefer to do something where I'm comfortable. I have a desire to be somewhere or with someone that isn't here, or I have a desire not to be in this present situation. So I'm aware of it. I'm not needing it yet, but I'm very aware that, before too long, I want to get home. It's enough already. If I have a plan, or if it's addressed, so you want to go home, I know you do. And as much as I hate to ask, is there any way you could work a double? So right after you say, listen, I really want to go home, I say, yeah, could you work a double? What do you think is going to happen to my sapphire self? Just What you thinking? Work a double? Whoa, whoa, whoa. This is the second time you've done this. Isn't there somebody else you could ask to work a double? Honest to Pete, I just worked a double. No, I really can't. I don't want to be ugly, but honest to Pete, this is the third time in the last 2 weeks you've asked me to work doubles. Why aren't you people hiring more people? This is now, when somebody says, I want to go home, we called caregivers, those of us who are providing support and care for other people, we need to be paying attention to each other. Because when we say, listen, I really want to get out of here on time today, that is an expression as close as a sapphire will come to saying, listen, I have a need. I'm not pushing it, but I want you to be aware of it. So if you're going to ask me to give that up, we better have a real clear plan between the two of us. And if you keep doing it, I'll start to feel disrespected as a human being, because what you're telling me is what I want isn't really important to you. It's all about, and this is what people actually say, it's all about what you want. Well, you may want somebody to work a double, but it ain't gonna be me this time. That's that frustration that a sapphire feels about not getting listened to, but we have a hard time stating as a need, because it's not a need, it's a preference. But if we keep giving up and we don't get that place in that space we need to recover, to heal, to find that control, that connection, to not be here, we won't be sapphire for long. We will start to drop the ball. We will start to not be able to be flexible, because humans need to recover and heal before they can get back in a work situation. Work is work, and I can love my work, but I need to be respectful of me. And me needs a space for me and a place for me that's home. And that's where many of you, I watch you go into your office, which is your little home away from home. Except it's not really home, it's an office. And so, hey, Kathy, have you got a minute? I mean, I hate to interrupt you, but I want to ask you one more thing about Mary. I mean, could you come help us just for a few minutes? We're having trouble with Sarah, and you're just so good with her. It's like, I just was in here with the door closed for a reason. Did you realize I was in here with the door closed for a reason? Do you know I just went and got a hot cup of coffee? It's the first hot cup of coffee. Do you know what it's going to be like by the time I get cold? It will be cold by the time I get back. Yes, sure, I'll come help you. So I put some emphasis on this because we're always focused on other people. And I want us to remember that unless we are sapphire, we can't help other gem states. And if we don't remember to take care of us, we can't be sapphire, because we all need to go home every now and then. We need that place, that space, that feeling, that sense. We need to get out of some situations and give ourselves a break. So when we come back in those situations, we can be flexible, because otherwise we feel trapped. Otherwise we feel out of control. Just so you know. So diamonds, let's talk about them for a few minutes. Diamonds, I want to go home. When diamonds are telling you, I want to go home, that is an expression of immediate preference. If you don't quickly address what I'm saying to you, I will escalate. And it won't take any further provocation. You don't have to do anything more, because my statement, I want to go home, is asking for resolution right that moment. If you're not listening to me and you don't do something about that, there's something not working here. So what I'm really expressing is that one or more physical or emotional needs are not being recognized and resolved in what I view as a reasonable schedule and an effective method, just so we're clear. And I am seeking either control, and it should say, or connection. I am looking for control or connection. I am either avoiding painful or uncomfortable situations and interactions, or I'm hiding my level of distress or discomfort by trying to get somewhere else. So we're going to stop sharing here for a minute, and I'm going to see who wants to try to work with me in my little diamond state. So, oh, Catherine, you look like you're excited to work with me.
I had a feeling.
Well, you know, I saw your face and it looked excited. Hey, listen, I want to go home. I need to get out of here.
Teepa, you want to go home. You need to get out of here.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you want to do something, or do you just want to be there?
Well, I need to do things at home. What do you think? You think I'm just going to go home and sit on my ass?
Oh,
That's what you people do here. That's this business of you sitting around all the time. This place looks like a damn pigsty.
yeah, this place looks like a
problem-
pigsty. I am
Yes,
sorry.
it's a
Tifa.
pigsty, and you're part of it, and they're all part of it.
I'm
Nobody
sorry,
does
Tifa.
crap.
Tifa, you're right. I am so sorry. This place looks like a
course I'm
pigsty.
It is, and I don't need to. I don't live in a pigsty. I mean,
No, you do
wanna
not
keep
live in a
this-
pigsty.
You want to keep it like this, you keep it like this, but I'm getting out of here.
So let me ask you, Tifa.
Yeah.
I know that you're really, really good at organizing and cleaning up.
Well, of course I am, but I don't know. You're not going to pay me to do it.
Would you be willing to help me?
Shit.
Maybe tell me how I could get a little more organized? Just a
I
little
don't
bit.
know. You guys look at this. All of you all, this is every time. This is, I'll tell you, and then you won't do jack about the whole thing. You do what you want.
Well, how about, will you come over this way? And
Oh,
we'll
shut up.
go in that. Oh, I'm so sorry, Tifa. I didn't mean to make you angry.
You're not even listening to me.
Tell me more about it, Tifa.
You people, I try to tell you and help you, and then just there you sit, just like bumps on a log.
So everybody's sitting.
Yes. Look
We
at
need to get
look
up
at
and
them. You
go.
see them sitting. That's all they do. They're a bunch of zombies in here.
Oh, bunch of zombies.
Okay, so I'm going to pause. So thank you, Catherine.
Yeah.
What do you notice about my dissatisfaction? What's going on here? Where am I uncomfortable? What am I uncomfortable about? What am I not even, I'm distressed about? Ooh, Annie, what you got? Other than a nice cat that's very happy.
Hi, this is Facile. It feels like there's a shifting to what you're distressed about, but it feels like it's about the way things that other people are doing. But as one thing resolves, you keep shifting to another thing. So there's a general dissatisfaction. I unmuted myself, but wasn't quite sure how to phrase it.
Yeah. So do you think it's more a need to be connected or a need to be in control of something?
Kind of in control, or almost like included, having a sense of purpose, that this whole thing's not right and I know how it should be.
Yeah.
So that's what I was trying to think about.
Yeah. So if we look in my history, I might be a person who's been in charge, who ran things, who had a family, who, when I'm feeling good is when things are going well and things are happening.
And
So
going according to your version of well. It seems very
yeah. So what's something that really causes me to go from uncomfortable to distressed? Have you heard some phrases that really seem to be triggers for me?
Yeah, sorry. And the cat was on the headphones, so I missed some of it.
You're okay. Other people could speak up. You're not the only one, Annie.
Great.
I noticed you were unmuted. Anybody else want to come up with some things that you're thinking about me?
I'm wondering if part of it is you always did things, and so seeing people not doing things is really irritating. So whether those are other residents or workers, I'm wondering if it's residents, because people are just sitting there not doing anything, and there are things to be done, and we need to be doing things, and they're not doing what they need to be doing, and that's not okay because they're being lazy.
So for me, there's this element, I am really feeling like people aren't doing what they're supposed to do. And as that's happening, my distress level is going up because I can't make them. I've lost my ability to be in charge, and I want to be in charge, but I also, when I'm in charge, it doesn't work for me. So I'm going to be ugly about it because I don't know what to do about it. All I know is what's happening isn't what I want. It's not what I like, and it isn't what I need. And so Catherine tried to help, but here's the problem. People have done this before where they've tried to occupy me, and I keep coming back to this visual, and I talk about it all the time. This is all the time. It's probably not all the time, but this time of day is not a good time of day for me to see people sitting around. And we've waited a little too long to try to engage me because now I'm not part of, I can't figure out how to get connected. And so now the best thing we can do is take me to somewhere different for a little bit. That's going to be the quickest resolution. I need to leave this place for a little bit. Because if I keep seeing this, can you get all those other people to do something different than what they're doing right now? Then you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to find another one that's not doing what they're supposed to. This place is a pigsty. This is not working. Because what I need is I need a different place. I have cabin fever. I mean, that's the older phrase for it, but I've been in this location, in this one space too long, and I need a different space for a little bit. When you give me that different space for a little bit, when I come back to this space, I won't be noticing it nearly as much because I'll have been to another space. And that's the resolution we are least comfortable with, and yet it's often the one I need the most, is you've got to get me out of this place that I don't want to be in. Because no matter what you do, I just don't want to be in this space. So I just realized, Corey, because I wasn't watching the time, my bad, that we're out of time. And I hate that because let me show you what we've got. We've got a lot more to share because that was the diamonds, but we've got others that we had also. We have emeralds, we have ambers, and they're hard to read because actually when they're amber, it's just hard to read them. It's somewhat easier if we actually use sapphire language around them. And then we had the rubies who want to go home and what they're looking for. And then finally, we have the pearls who are fading. And yet they actually may be telling us quite clearly what they're trying to tell us, which is, I need to go. They might be looking for somebody familiar or seeking something, or they may actually be telling us I can't stay in this shell much longer. But I have all those things, and I realized I spent too much time in places maybe that weren't the best places. So now we've run out of time. So I'm not sure exactly what to do except to say I need to do a little more work and actually maybe figure out how to add it in so that you can get those opportunities to try some things out.
Hey, Tifa,
Yes.
would you have some time, you think, to do a video that we can just add on to the recording, and then everybody can get that content when they go back to watch the video?
That's what I was thinking of doing. So yes, I will do that recording this evening, and I will get it, and we'll get it to Corey, and we will add it onto the recording. And I'm sorry it's a little longer, but at the same time, I don't know that what we talked about didn't have value, but it just didn't let us get to some of the places and spaces that we could practice some of the skills that we need to help people who need to go home for these very different reasons. But basically for three main reasons. So I'm going to be respectful of people's time, and I will do a video to add in, but I hope what you're walking away from this session with is we make it more complicated than it is in some ways, and yet we're missing the skills that we need to resolve it in an easier way because we overthink some things and don't pay attention to some others, which might actually make a difference for those who are trying to go home. I just need to get home. All right, thanks everybody, and we will video some more stuff and get it to you. So take care, thanks, and get to go home. It's always a good thing. This is the session that I said I would do in follow-up to I want to go home for the different gem states. And then there'll be a separate little video clip, which will be some role playing that has been requested on these various gem states. So let me go ahead and pull up my PowerPoint, and we will very quickly go through what I didn't get through when I was busy trying to get through everything. So when we talk about this idea of wanting to go home, we've gotten all the way to really wanting to think through, okay, so diamonds, when I say as a diamond, I'm clear, I'm sharp, but rigid and inflexible, and I'm feeling something. When I want to go home. I'm tired of being here. This place is ridiculous. I need to get some things out of my house. typically diamonds are going to be able to express to you what it is they feel like they want instead of what they have. And it is an expression of immediate preference. I will tell you what's different about this than a sapphire, however, is that when diamonds express this immediate preference, if it is not quickly addressed, remember it's a want, not a like. It means immediate gratification. So I've got to get you to really acknowledge and recognize the message I'm sending and give me some sense that you're listening to me and that there's going to be resolution. If you don't do that in some form or fashion that is relatively quick and relatively effective for me, I will keep bringing it up. Not only will I bring it up, it'll switch from a I want to I need. And you'll hear a change in volume, intensity, or frequency that indicates, wow, this is now approaching DEFCON 3, and I'm about to explode. And I will call in the big guns. And what's really happening here is I'm either seeking control if I'm more of an introvert, or I'm seeking a connection if I'm more of an extrovert. But I'm trying to get my likes, wants, and needs met. And right now they're a want, but they're rapidly going to change because I'm not getting something. Or what I'm experiencing in this place and time is painful or uncomfortable enough, either in a situation or an interaction or my sense of self, that I'm looking for a way out of here. And I'm trying to hide, in some cases, my level of distress or discomfort by saying there's something I need to go do somewhere else. But what it really means is I'm not okay. I am really not okay. And we've got to get curious about that not okay business. So when somebody says, I want to go home, and they give you something, you want to make sure you're going. So you want to let them know you're needing to get out of here. You want to talk to somebody who knows what they're talking about. Or it sounds like what's going on here, you're not liking how we're running things here. You would do this very differently. You want to express, I got your message. Not only did I get your message, I also know what kind of thing you're actually telling me about. And I got what you want. Now, one of the things we have to be real about, though, is that I may not be able to help you right now. But how about if we make sure that we let somebody who is in authority, somebody who does have the power, does have control, know about this? Now, would you rather we write something down, or do you want me to call someone, or do you think we should do something about this situation? So in other words, I've got to figure out how to let the person know that not only did I get their message, I'm moving it forward somehow. And diamonds can frequently have some tolerance of maybe not right this minute if something happens right this minute. Excuse me, what they can't tolerate is a sense that nobody's doing anything to resolve this. So when we're hearing diamond behavior, realize that I am rigid and inflexible in that time period, and you want to pause what else you're doing and pay attention to me. And if you're not an authority figure, we better find one. And we need to let the authority person, the person who has some authority, know where I'm at and what state I'm in, or things will not go well for any of us. So there is this sense of immediacy with a diamond, even though I'm just saying want. And it's hard sometimes because it could be expressed multiple times during a week, a day. It could be part of a pattern that I've established. But we just need to acknowledge it's in the moment for me, although it's a pattern for you. And you have to keep it fresh and clean as though it's the first time you're hearing it. I am so sorry to hear that. So you're not getting what you're looking for here. Even though we do this every afternoon, it's the pattern she has, but not the pattern I have. So it is a new pattern for both of us. And I want to stay sapphire about it. So let's consider what's going to happen when we have an emerald, though. And then it turns around a little bit, and it's a little bit different. So in this case, when an emerald says, I want to go home, there's usually an expression of fright, moving to flight. Because what they expressed is, I want to get out of here, and I want to get to a place of safety, a place of comfort, a place of familiarity, of friendship, of forgiveness, of function. So what I'm expressing to you is distress. And if you don't figure out what's going on, is it a spiritual distress, an emotional distress, or a physical distress, it's going to reoccur and it will actually escalate. So if it's just spiritual, then when you provide spiritual comfort, I'll settle and it will resolve. If it's emotional, then you're going to have to apply emotional comfort and you'll see it start to resolve. Now, whatever it took to resolve it will possibly still be needed. So that means if I'm somebody who likes people, then you're going to have to give me a people, because I'm not going to quit wanting the people just because you figured out I need people. I need people. So that's a little frustrating at times, because once you figure it out, if you don't supply it, I will readdress it as an emerald, because I get into the cycle and I have a hard time coming out of the cycle. So figure out how I can be with people like you, and you can still help have some things getting done. That's the tricky part. But you figured out it's emotional. I need emotional support. And the emotional support may need to be, I need a place where there aren't so many people, because I need to be more in control of my space and relationships. And I don't want to be around these people, more of an introvert type thing. If you keep bringing me back, or I keep coming to a place where there are too many people, because I'm still not quite emotionally supported, right? We've got to figure that out. However, if what it starts off with is an emotional distress, but what's really driving it is a physical cause, then when you meet my emotional or spiritual needs, you're going to find it's very short-lived, because what's really wrong is something wrong within me. And until you interpret it and get it resolved, we're not going to get to a settling point. And the challenge here is what I say or what you offer, I may not get the connection between the real physical or physiological need that I have. You're probably possibly right. The challenge is I may not understand that you're right, and you can't use words to get me to get it. So being willing to travel with me, to move with me, to try to scope things out with me, that gets to be time consuming, which is one of the reasons people just want it to stop with an emotional thing and let's pat the puppy and everything will be okay. It's like, yeah, no, something's underneath that. And we want to get curious about it, not get frustrated with it, and realize that the person is flawed in their ability to interpret internal data and then share that data in a meaningful way. So we want to take a step back, and it may actually be helpful for us to have a third party watching us, because truly in those moments, we may be inaccurate at what we're noticing because we've been sucked into trying to be supportive, and we're not clear and sharp anymore. We're not even, we ourselves are becoming part of what's going on there, and we can't watch ourselves. So sometimes one of the most important things to do is have somebody take a look at what's going on from a distance and then say, okay, we're going to do a pause here, get the person slightly settled, and then realize you have some homework to do before you can move forward. So we want to recognize the person is trying to either get connected, they're seeking, they're reflecting, they're exploring, they're selecting, but it's going to take a while. And so we have to commit ourselves to this effort, this journey. And we may want to try some changes to see if a change helps figure things out. So changing the environment. And that means moving to a place that looks different, sounds different, feels different. It may be that we want to offer different options that might meet those needs. And so we present them as a trial, not as a here, do this, this will fix it, but more of a, could you help me out? Would you help me taste this, see what you think? Could you help me? There is something on your pants, I don't know. Tell you what, sit here for just a second. Let's see if we can't figure this out. Raising awareness, but limiting words that have to have value, but recognizing emotions that have value. So we want to match our cues to the demonstrated ability and the pace that the person has, and then gradually shift it downward. But be real about it. This is going to take a while, and that's frustrating. So we've got to take them from emerald to where we have a clear handle on this, and that's not easy. So I'm going to pause there, and we'll come back. So let's move on now and talk a little bit about amber state and what happens with amber state when it comes to I want to go home. And one of the questions folks might have is, how can you tell whether someone is more emerald or amber? So I'm gonna do two vocalizations, and I want you to sort of see if you can figure out which is which. Listen, I want to go home. I want to go home. Please, lady, please. I need I need to go home. Can you help me go home? Number one. Second one. I want to go home. 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 Go home. I want to 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 go home. So which is which? Well, Emerald is the first one, because in that one, I was expecting something in response. I was still social enough to recognize I'm sending a message. Will you send me a message back? I'm sending you a message. Will you send me a message back? Yes, there was distress, but it's pretty clear I was trying to communicate with you as a human being. When I start doing that rhythmed speech and I repeat the phrase or the word over and over, it has a sort of an echolalia sound to it, like it's an echo. It's an echo. It's an echo. It means I'm sending the message, sending the message, sending the message, and I'm not necessarily even prepared for an answer to come back. I'm stuck in getting the message out, getting the message out, I'm not actually prepared to hear responses. And I'm not going to be tuned into those responses should you try to get them in. So that's the hint that I'm in an amber state. So classically, what this I want to go home business might have to do when I'm in an amber is more along the line of expressing either a sensory distress or a sensory discomfort moving to distress, or a sensory preference or a need that's not getting addressed where I'm at and when I'm at. So what I'm signaling to you is something's not right. But yeah, it's either a sensory need or a sensory intolerance. And given that I'm not tuned into the idea particularly well, that you can actually do something about that. So although I'm sending messages, it's just like sending out a telegraph message. I'm pushing on the buttons, and so actually it's going to be hard for you to get your message back into me. So this is that point in which you want to really listen carefully for the intensity, frequency, and volume, either a heightened volume or a really lowered volume, to indicate how distressed am I? Am I at a I don't like this mode, I'm uncomfortable? Am I at a this is getting risky for me, I feel distressed, I feel it's getting much more difficult for me to take in anything or to tolerate anything. And then all the way up to I feel endangered. If something isn't done right away, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. Or if I don't get something right away, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. So with sensory need, if I don't get what I think I need right away, I am going to probably become very, very vocal or physical. And if I don't get you to stop what I don't like right away, I'm likely to go from just vocalizing to physically acting out to try to get you away from me, or to get you to stop, or to get whatever it is to stop, even though you might have actually nothing to do with it. And neither might the person sitting next to me. But if I don't see anything else to act on, that would be the thing I find to do something about. So when I'm sending these signals, the really hard part for us is we need a real shift in what we do this time. So in this case, you don't want to come in with language right away until you sort of get a sense of me. You want to take a look at my whole body. You want to take a look at posture, at pace. You want to take a look at anything about me that looks stressed or distressed, anything about me, any kind of visual that I'm trying to go for, what I'm doing with my hands, with my feet, with my mouth. Knowing a little bit about what's gone on before. Where are we in my day? Where are we in my personal care needs sort of situation? What's the possibility that something's gone wrong for me? Or that there's an emotional absence or presence that's making this hard for me. So for instance, maybe somebody's visited me and their effort to communicate has gotten me really overstimulated. And so I have too much energy and too much coming in. And so I gotta go home, I gotta go home is actually been triggered earlier in the day, earlier during an interaction, which I may not have looked distressed during although having had that interaction, it got my primitive brain sort of excited or distressed. And now I can't, I can't figure out what is going on here and why, but now I'm to a place where I can't bring it back down. And it's that stress threshold. And I've crossed the threshold, and now I'm in acute distress. But it's not an immediate situation. It's previous, but immediately I'm in acute distress. So if I've got to go home, I got to go home, I got to go home. You may want to come along toward my dominant side and travel if I'm traveling, and be still if I'm still. But your voice needs to, you got to get home, you got to get home, you got to get home. And you want to make sure your facial and everything is in alignment. And again, making sure that you're not confrontational anyway, but you're sharing that sort of common space greater than arm's length away. And you do want to have your ear and eye open toward is this solving the problem, or is it making it worse? Because although I am doing the quote unquote right thing in that I'm helping you see I got your message, if I'm auditorily overwhelmed, that message is adding to the auditory distress. And so even though I got one part of the thing right, it's making you more distressed because it's adding to the level of sensory overload. So this is the point in dementia where someone in an amber state, it's a really tricky proposition. You can try to lower the volume, but then they might miss the message completely. You could try to show them something, but they might simply knock it out of your hand because they're already visually overloaded, or they weren't even aware you were trying to show them something. They just didn't want your hand anywhere near their visual field. So of all the gems, this person has just enough ability and enough skill to make it feel like it's a deliberate choice to be ornery about something, but truly not. It's either I'm not finding what I need, and because I can't find it, even if it's right there, I think you aren't giving me what I need, and I get frustrated with you. Or on the other hand, I can't let go of what I'm doing, and you see that clearly what I'm doing is it's not reasonable, but worse than that, it's unsafe, and you're trying to figure out how to get me to a safer situation. And one of the things that we have to be very, very careful of when we're trying to help is that we're not getting sucked into our own amber state, because often this is the moment where I have a hard time staying sapphire, because that auditory, repetitive, and it's clear it's distressed, it starts to signal my brain there's a distress here. And we have to be incredibly careful that we're controlling the impulse to think that really is a dangerous situation when it's an annoying situation, or when it's a risky situation but not yet dangerous. We don't want to do anything that ramps it up. So unless they're truly doing something that in that moment, you truly believe in that moment, they could die or they could cause themselves great harm, we're much better off getting to a place where we can provide alternatives or options. So for instance, if someone is very much pushing on a door and saying, I gotta go home, gotta go home. And the biggest mistake most people make is, Teepa, don't do that to the door. Come on, Teepa, come away from the door. Can you come away from the door? Come on, I'll help you. We don't want to do that. We do want to consider what's on the other side of that door. Is it possible to open that door and let the person be on the other side of the door? Because in the person's mind, in that moment, the thing they need most is on the other side of that door. Now, very likely that's not accurate, but until they experience the other side of the door, they aren't going to believe what we have to say, because the other side of the door, they don't know. So what might make more sense is to have somebody go around to the other side of the door and clear the space on the other side so they can go to the other side. But it may also mean that if the other side is near an exit, do you have with you that which you would need before you try anything, so that if the person does want to take off and go, you're prepared to go. If they're going barefoot, we're prepared that the floor out there and that flooring wherever they end up is going to be okay. So one of the hardest things with Amber is to let go of our fear, let go of our distress, let go of our anger, let go of our pain, and just go with a person because they're seeking that which they can't find. But frequently we can't get to the place where we can truly help what is wrong until we get them to a place where they believe they've done everything they know how to do. And only then will some people turn to us. But if we're along with them when they sort of reach that point of that deep point where they can't figure it out, that's when they might be willing to allow us in to help them. And that's the tricky part, is we keep trying to short circuit their distress. And sometimes, unfortunately, they have to make that discovery on their own. Sometimes we can be helpful. Sometimes we can't. Sometimes it has to go on for longer than we like because we can't fix the disease. And the reason I put this in yellow is it's uncomfortable. This kind of visual thing is uncomfortable. This is a little easier for us, but it doesn't come out that way, just so you know. So let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about these rubies. Now, rubies, I want to go home is more like a home, 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 home. Please, lady, please, lady, please, lady, please, lady. Come here, come here, come here. So it might be a repetitive word. It might be a repetitive motion combined with the word mama, 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 Danny, 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 Danny. And you know whether it's I'm in distress and I want to go home, or Danny, hey, Danny, 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 Danny. Now, that second one, I'm not nearly as distressed as the first one. And the thing about rubies is I may not be doing a lot of visual seeking while I'm doing verbal seeking. And when I'm visual seeking, I might be quiet. And when I'm still, or when I get stuck, I might start vocalizing. So you want to look beyond just the language for rubies to make sure you're not missing some of the I want to go home. I need to find home. I'm looking for something or someone that isn't vocal. Because often rubies can't walk and talk at the same time. So what we'll see is the movement pattern that signals, I can't find a place to settle. I can't find a place to settle, as opposed to vocalizing. Now, if they can't move, that's when we're more likely to hear a repetitive vocalization that indicates a level of distress and seeking. Come here, come here, come here, come here, help. Help, 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 over and over and over again. So things like lapping, which is going around and around, pacing, which is going back and forth, rocking, patting, slapping down on something, or slapping people for that matter, yelling, typically will increase past routine levels. You know what my norm is, and when it starts going up, I am on a seek mode. I am seeking something. You want to start frequently by simply mirroring the behavior you notice. So try copying that behavior, not necessarily even around the person, just so you can get your body to do what their body's doing. You can get your voice to do what their voice is doing, to see if you can get a handle on the intensity and the pattern. And then attempt to connect, but only use one modality. So if it seems to be primarily a vocalization, use vocalization. If it's primarily a movement, move with them and see if you can figure that out. Copy their movements and then offer a connection. Once you're fully connected, then you can start to modify pace. Then you can take the pace down a little bit, the intensity down a little bit, and see if they'll stay connected to you. And once you start doing that, then you want to start seeing is there a substitution for that vocalization. So rather than vocalizing, could you hum or sing? Rather than slapping, could you clap or pat? Rather than pacing or lapping, could you rock? And rather than rocking, could you rub? So it's all about trying to figure out how to give them comfort, how to take them home, how to find that space, that place, that relationship that they're seeking. And then once we sort of do the social part, the emotional social part, that's when we start digging into what's the physical element of it. Could they be hungry or thirsty or tired or having a lot of energy and not knowing what to do? Are they possibly needing to go to the bathroom, or did they already, or do they need to pee, or are they too hot and they don't know that, or are they cold and they can't settle? Is it that there's something about their situation that's making them so uncomfortable? Is it about friendly, familiar, functional, forgiving? Is it about sensory, social, space, or surface to surface contact? Is it their shoes and their feet? Is it it's the Ted hose? Is it their underwear? Is it the bra they got on funky? Is it not enough layers, too many layers, heaviness? They need to get organized with a hand rub. Is it what's causing this level of distress? Because rubies as a whole are not talking about a place. It's a sensation, a global whole body sensation. So going home may be getting in a bed that feels just right, that's warm. It could be a towel wrapped around them. So the home for them is a very immediate home, whereas a home for an amber is something maybe more small, fine, visual, auditory. It's a little more complicated. And emeralds are talking about spaces and places and people and things and stuff to do. And diamonds are talking about life and finding a home. And sapphires are simply indicating I'm tired and I would like to be in my familiar place, please. And then we get to the last gem, the one that people often don't think can do much. And it turns out pearls have moments when they're absolutely lucid. And they may literally be asking for permission to leave us, to go to an existence beyond the existence we know about, to truly find their way home past this shell they're stuck in, to a space, to a place, to a being, to a reality that we can't even imagine except in our imaginations and in our faith, that will accept them and find them whole. And they will find that they really seek. They may be alert enough to realize they want to tell us or share with us or seek from us that which they need to move forward. They may be seeking someone that is not physically present to be present for them, or to share a message that they need to let go of before they can let go. And so the thing I'll often ask people, if someone seems to be, I've got to go home, mamas, come get me, mama, come get me. There may be a message under the message, and the message may require us to answer this question, which is, what is it they have not done that they still need to do before they go? Who have they not forgiven or been forgiven by? Who have they unfinished business with? Or what is the unfinished business they have? And are we holding on to them? And do we need to get ready to let them go? And so going home could be hearing a song, a hymn of faith, a song of childhood, a familiar voice, a phrasing, a prayer, something that tells me it's time and it's okay, or that I'm safe here and the people here are the people or the things I need. The feel of a blanket, the touch of a hand, the smell of lotion, the taste of ice cream, a taste only. I'm not eating for nutrition, but it may be that comfort, a sip of coffee, the smell of coffee. Or for some people, none of that, because I need you not to be here so I can go, because I can't leave you. So it's a challenge when pearls are talking about going home. What we need to be thinking is it time for them to go, or are they asking for us to create a space where they feel safer? And you really are going to have to try out both to figure out which it might be. And we want to take our time and go slow, because we know it could take up to a minute for the person to take in our data, process our data, and be able to offer something back. And I only waited a few seconds. Felt like a long time. So finding the way to hold space, to hold time, to be still, so that when they say, I want to go home, you're needing to go home. Yeah. Home to mom. She's looking for me. Yeah. Moms look for their boys and their girls. Yeah. You have a good mom. I know she loves you. So if you need to go home, I know she'll give you a big hug. Tell her I love you, and I'll see you soon. So what I just did is both sides of the equation, but really trying to help us help by being willing to be where people are when they're needing to go home. And not try to talk them out of it and not be distressed, but trying to really understand the meaning of the phrase. So that's it for this information. I am going to try to find somebody to do 2 role plays with me that we've requested, that have been requested. I didn't request them, someone requested them. And I'll see if I can find someone to work with me on that, and we'll add that as well. So altogether, lots of pieces to this, I want to go home. And hopefully you found it helpful. Thanks for all you do. And thanks to the folks who let us into the world and help us build home.
Whew, wow, this is complicated, really fascinating, and really complicated. We've really got to use curiosity and some detective work to assess the underlying needs in the situation. So, is it a desire, an immediate preference, an expression of fright or distress, an expression of sensory discomfort or distress, a symptom of discomfort or distress? Or are they maybe asking for a safer space, or at the very end, permission to go? Maybe it's something else, but this really gives us some serious things to consider. So once we do sort of get a sense of what's driving this, we have a bit of understanding, what's supported? Well, unanimously, PAC recommends reflecting back their words. Repeat back a little bit of what they said. Now, if they have their full range of vocabulary, then we can give back what they said with our own words, and we can add a little bit. If they've got a very limited vocabulary, it becomes more important to give back the specific words so they understand that we got what they said, and they can choose to elaborate and give us more cues and clues. We really want to mirror the emotion. Now, we do this pretty easily when someone is sad. We see value in empathizing. But when someone's upset, ooh boy, this one becomes a lot harder. But I'm telling you, we can get on their side and we can be upset about this thing together. I can champion this person, being on their side, being willing to go where they are for the relationship and to move this thing forward together. We want to allow self-care, catch it early if we can, try a different space, travel with them. We want to match their demonstrated abilities. We want to give cues that match that at a pace that matches their pace. We want to use substitution. Maybe we can be the substitute, or maybe we can find something that they're interested in, that they like or they value. We also want to pay attention to the intensity, volume, and frequency of the cues that they're giving, because that really can give us a lot of clues there as well. That's important. It's also very important to stay curious, to be really curious. Copy them so that you can maybe get a sense or a clue and use that to connect, to move forward. Now, at the very end of the disease, we want to consider, are we taking care of the shell, or are we taking care of that beautiful gem that's inside? Because shell care is different from gem care, from that pearl care. And maybe even we want to consider what unfinished business that person might have. So, in this very last chapter, Teepa is going to take us through some scenarios that were offered from some original participants of the webinar. And she's going to do some role plays that highlight skilled responses over the common automatic reactions. Let's see what she does.
So the first role play scenario we're going to do is a request or a question that we got in. This lady's mom resides in a memory care unit, and about a year ago it was suggested that maybe she not take her mom out because of the difficulty of getting her back in. They were having to wait at a locked door, and then her mom would start with, I don't want to go in there, I don't want to go in there, that no, no, no. And so they were asked not to take her out. The woman also indicated that her mom doesn't recognize the furniture in her apartment. And it seems to this person as though mom's between Amber and Ruby. And that may not be 100% accurate. I wouldn't expect quite so much language in the Ruby state, but you know, I'm not there, so I don't know for sure. The question that she had was, would it be possible to try this? Should she try this again on a short excursion? And then a second question, how should she respond when her mom announces she wants to go home? So I'm going to start with the first question. And so that first question, I would say, yeah, it's well worth taking her off the unit again. And I wonder whether, is it only a memory care community? So is it possible to come out of that area into another area in the building and to have something your mom likes there, like ice cream or something to eat or something to do, and find a sitting area out there and just simply be out in that area and arrange to text or call the folks on the other side of the door so that the door can be opened as you and your mom approach the door. So there's no waiting at the door. The door simply opens, you knock and the door opens, or you don't even have to knock. Just as you're starting to walk toward the door opens and a friendly person goes, "Why, Beth, hey, you made it. Come on in." And maybe they have something your mom likes as well. So that when she's being invited back into the space, it's not the space she's being invited back into, it's the relationship she's being invited back into. Because it seems as though stuff isn't as present for your mom as people might be. And so she doesn't want to go in there. I'm wondering whether it's because she doesn't have the same relationship she has with you out here. And so going in there also represents you guys losing relationship. So having the other person greet on the way in also makes a difference. So it sounds like getting the team to work together maybe a little bit more might be important. Now let's go on to the second one. And so I'm going to have Beth try to do something similar to what your mom might do when she asks to go home. She's gonna do that, and I'm gonna give you sort of what we might do without thinking, and then what we want to do with thinking. So go ahead, Beth.
I want to go home.
Mom, you are home. This is where you stay now. See, here's your blanket. Remember this? This is the one from your bed.
No, I want to go home. This is
Mom, calm down. hang on. Here, now, would you like a cup of coffee? You want something to drink? Are you
no.
thirsty?
Mom,
Mom,
I wanna go home.
I know, Mom, you want to go home. I want you to be at home. I don't want you to be up. We're speaking two different languages. So what I'm trying to do is help, but what I'm doing is not helping. It's actually making things worse because I'm not really listening to Beth. I mean, I am, but I'm trying to help her not really understand what she's trying to tell me. So Beth, let's try it again.
Okay. Same scenario.
Same scenario.
Okay. I want to go home.
You want to go home. You want to go.
I want to go.
Okay, you're wanting to get out of here.
Yeah.
This isn't the right place. This isn't right. No. I'm going to go with you. Shall we go? Let's get going. Let's go.
We'll go.
We're going to go. Come on. Let's us get going. Let's get out of this place. Let's come on and go. Good. So the very first going that we're going to do is out of the apartment. Because if she's telling me that this stuff doesn't feel right and look right, then let's just get out of this room to another room and have her look around out there, do some looking around so that maybe when she comes back into this space, her brain recognizes it as familiar compared to being out there. Or she may not, but at least we did a little traveling. So it's not staying in the same space with something that isn't working. And as I go along with her, there might be some back rubbing going on. There might be some humming going on. I'm not sure what will comfort because I haven't found out enough about your mom and what comforts her. So hopefully that helps you with the two requests or questions you made. And if not, get back with us or come in on one of our Ask Teepa Anything Wednesday evenings. And you can actually be more realistic about your mom if we weren't, because it was a little hard for us because we don't actually know her, and you do. Now, here's another one, and this one's a little different. My mom suffers from vascular dementia and memory care facility in the same town as brother and sister. Family's very fortunate. Sister's been willing to learn about the gems, has been trying to apply the knowledge when visiting, and brother's learning from her. A webinar was helpful. One of the things she was hoping to get out of it, though, was practical suggestions for dealing with the issue of mom stating she is not at home and needs to leave. So sort of a different spin on I want to go home. And another theme that they've been dealing with is mom telling us that she has to go before the judge. So there's something going on there. So we're trying to figure out how to help with that. She also runs into the issue that the caregivers or the employees don't have the training to effectively deal with mom's behavior in the ever-changing gem state. So how do you get, as family members, how do you help? Because it is a very common problem that people don't know a whole lot about this when they get into that space, and they don't necessarily last a long time when they don't know a lot about that. So there's a lot of turnover. So Beth, let's start with the I want to go home. This is not my home. Let's start with that one.
And leading in the same scenario as the judge piece, or pretty separate?
It's up to you. Why don't we do it separately? We'll just do it a little separately. Yeah.
I want to go home.
You're wanting to go. You want to get out of here and go home.
Oh yes, I want to go home.
This isn't where you want to be. None of this is where you want.
This is not where I want to be.
This is not where you want to be. You want to be someplace different. You want to get home.
I want to get home.
Yeah. Now, Mom, do you need to do something there? Or you just want to be there?
I got to do something.
Oh, so you've got things to do there.
Yeah, I've got things.
Yeah. You have always been so busy. Now, Mom, are you going to do some cooking or something else?
Oh, something else.
Something else, not cooking. Not your favorite. You only cook when you have to, not when you want to.
I have
Yeah. Now, do you have some laundry that needs to get done, or is there something else going on there that you have to get something done?
Well, there's the laundry, and
there's the laundry, and you've got several things. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you. Now, there's some dirty laundry here. Should we plan to do that too?
Well, this goes.
I know this one's different, but I'm just wondering.
Yeah. This one.
Okay, well, tell you what, would you help me get this in the wash here before we do anything else? Could you help me out? because you know how to do it much better than I do.
Yeah, you're going to need some help.
You're good. Okay. Do you want to carry the basket? You want me to carry it?
Well, here.
Here. Okay. I got it. Let's head this way. I know where they keep the machine, but I need your help. Okay. So what we did is we went from, this isn't where I want to be. I agreed. This really clearly isn't where she wants to be. Then if she wants to be home, is it she just wants to be there? Is there something she wants to do there? And for Beth, there was something she wanted to do there. So I started with, was it cooking or something else? That cooking was not it, not her thing. Maybe getting some laundry done or something else. And maybe not laundry, but she went for it. Because I may have stimulated enough of, oh yeah, that's a good reason to be home. Because probably the main thing is not to be here, just so we're clear. And then I actually engaged her in doing something related to that. I stayed on topic, so it's called a redirection. It's not a distraction, because I got to the laundry and busy and something to do, and I stayed with laundry, but now she's helping me, which is maybe what she was looking for in the first place, is a way to be helpful and have purpose, rather than actually being at home a place. Now, going before the judge, what do you think that might be about, Beth? Just if you had the best guess, what's your best guess about maybe what's triggering some of that?
My goodness, that's a strong word.
Mm-hmm.
That's the judge word. I hate to go into thinking immediately about the unmet needs, but that for PAC language, I'm thinking there's some anxiety, or there's something it's a strong, I don't go before a judge or a policeman without this being serious.
Yeah. So, and it sounds like she thinks maybe she's done something wrong, or that she has to defend herself or something along that line. So one of our first questions would be, let's talk about her past. Any history or story in the past that might relate to this. And if not, then what I'm thinking about is she feels unjustly constrained or restrained. And so maybe going before the judge is about getting out of prison, just by way of possible explanations. So I'm thinking that reassuring her that all is well may not be what she's looking for, because what she feels like is she's been imprisoned, and going before the judge might be her way out of this. And so all is well says, no, you have to stay in prison, which isn't exactly what she's looking for. So rather than try to be more specific, this is another situation where if that doesn't make sense to you, then I think coming on a Wednesday evening of asking Tifa anything and being able to give us more information in detail makes more sense than for us to role play something that really doesn't meet your need. Because we could take this many directions. There's just so many possibilities that without more information on your side of it and finding out some things, we probably will be inaccurate. And then the last question, very quickly, let me just say, it's a challenge. Trying to help caregivers learn what many people think they must already know when they have these jobs, and yet they don't have all the skill sets that they need, and they don't necessarily last long in the job without these skill sets. One of the ways to start is just like with little baby bits of inviting them to watch some of the free video clips that we have at the very front, or maybe offering to share a little bit of this video when you have your computer with you, if you have access, share a little bit of what we did on some of these with folks to see if that sort of goes, oh, well, that makes sense. Because one of the things you've chosen to do is get more aware and more knowledgeable. Just because you're aware, without this, you don't know how to help your mom. Any other thoughts you had, Beth, right off the top as a final?
Yeah, recognizing, I think, looking at the staff member and recognizing what they're up against with how much training they may have had, it's a scary place to be, I think, as a family member, but recognizing that this is the first step and you may know more than other people.
Yeah. Good. Cool. Well, thanks, guys. And thank you, Beth, for stepping up and helping me out a little bit.
No problem. Thanks, Tifa.
Appreciate it. Take care. Thanks.
Well, we've reached the end. You've taken in a lot of information. In this last chapters, Tifa went through 2 scenarios, and we got to see her utilize some skills. So first thing to take note of, reality orientation, helpful or harmful? We want to consider if trying to get the person to see things as we do is creating an emotional reaction that really is not helping the situation. We've got to be creative in meeting people where they're at, validating where they are, and helping to move them from where it's not matching for us to a different place in a way that isn't confrontational. All right. Second thing, we may want to consider if there's a past emotional event that may be driving what we're seeing. So, a resurgence of something that happened in the past that was really a strong emotional thing that may be bringing up some things now. A really important skill that Teepa used with Beth was offering choices. We can offer choices as a way of getting cues and clues, or we could offer it as possibilities. So, a really key choice in this scenario, I want to go home, to do something or to be there. Now, with this choice, we can start to discern, is it maybe something emotional or something physical, a task that they're trying to do? To do something or to be there can really give us a lot of information to work with. We also heard Teepa ask, to cook or something else? Laundry or something else? Now, this kind of question allows the person to decide, yeah, that's it, or no, that's not it, without closing any doors. And the last thing is the idea of purposeful redirection as opposed to blocking or distracting. So I'm not offering something random to switch their attention, but instead, I want to offer something meaningful that has value to them to move together into a different place. All right, Teepa mentioned ask Teepa anything. Ask Teepa Anything is a great Facebook forum to literally ask Teepa anything. I believe, could be wrong, but I believe it's one Wednesday per month at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Another learning opportunity for family members would be our Care Partner Support Series, which is done virtually over Zoom. 5 weekly sessions, really fantastic. And last but not least, we have our PAC Champion course. This is about building our approach skills, really core skill focused, skill building. And hopefully we will be expanding on those offerings. So 3 options, and there are many more. Go ahead and visit teepasnow.com if you're interested in taking something further. But if this is where we part ways for now, thank you so much for being here. Wishing you all the best.